Hey guys, thank you for coming back. I am Irma Mast. If you're new here, thank you for joining here. Today I will be answering a question that I get pretty often, and it's a complicated one to answer because I think it's complex, but I will try to do my best in answering the question. The question is, what was the hardest thing to adjust to in the non-Amish world? So if you don't know, I grew up Amish in the Amish culture, and for 22 years, and then I left a number of years ago. So that is a very good question, and I feel it's hard in a way because of there's so many things that are just really different, and but the specific question and that it sometimes comes with it is, was electricity, was it appliances, was probably a big change for you? And the answer to that is it wasn't actually. Appliances and kitchen stuff isn't a big change for me. We had my parents have natural gas. We had propane growing up until the last few years. They got a line in their neighborhood, and they connected to natural gas. And so the refrigerator makes cold just like the electric refrigerator. Cold at the bottom, freezer at the top or the side, wherever it is. And same with the stove, you just turn it on and there it is, hot, right? And so for that, kitchen appliances weren't that hard or weren't that different. So that really wasn't too much different. It is handy that I have I have outlets for a blender and an air fryer and a mixer. They do, my family, where they are, they can have solar panels, so they can have an outlet in the house. And so we had an outlet in the basement, so we would have to run a cord from the basement up if we wanted to do something like that. Sorry, there's a hair somewhere. I just washed my hair this afternoon, so they're not quite dry yet. So that wasn't so much different for us. It's handier, but I wouldn't say that it was much different. There's the clothing thing is also a question, and I think that is one thing that was really different. Was it? I would say in a sense it was hard, but it was also easy. And let me explain that. It was hard in a sense of it took a while to learn what outfits you put together. Okay, do I want to wear jeans? Do I want to wear leggings? Do I want to wear a skirt or a dress or sweatpants? Or, there's all of these options. Okay, and then what top goes with this, and what sweater we need a sweater in. So it's a whole thing. Like what color socks, and how do I want to do my hair for today? And it is more complicated in a way, but it is also very much, this feels more like me. So to explain that, we grew up, we had to wear a head covering. We had a head covering for every day, and then one that was nicer for, going away or Sundays. And we just, slipped a dress over your head, and that was it. So I had usually about 4 dresses that I would change off throughout the week. And then in the evening, depending what we had going on, or say Sunday, we had a dress that had long sleeves. And depending what we had during the week, we would maybe put on a cape. But it was very simple, and there was no questioning, or my socks were all black or gray, so there was no questioning if it matched. It was just which dress do I want to wear, and which color dress do I want to wear, and that was the decision. Our hair had to be back, like a path in the middle, and then just back, and then in a bun, and then you're covering, so there was no options. So I would say that was a hard adjustment. There were times when it was just like, it would feel so simple to just put that dress over your head. But remember, we had to do that. And I have never, I don't wear a lot of dresses, and I like putting an outfit together. But I can say it is easier in a sense of, hey, this is how I feel today. I feel like when I want to wear something comfortable. I want to dress up more. Like, I can feel like I dress more like Irma. This is who Irma is. This is me. And in that way, I feel more connected to myself and the everyday stuff. So that was hard, but it was also fun and easy in a way of like I learned a lot about myself. What do I like? What style do I want? I'm still learning. I think it's a process that will go on for a long time. Another thing that was challenging for me was going to church every Sunday, having church every Sunday. We just had church every other Sunday, so every other Sunday we would be free. And it was just like a mental thing. When you didn't have anything else, you could plan something with your friends. It was often time to sleep in on that off Sunday. And all of a sudden, there's just church Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. Now, I love going to my church. I actually, like, we have one Sunday a year that we don't have, over Christmas, we have one Sunday that we don't have church. And I miss the people much more than I used to. And when I was Amish, I could miss a Sunday and then I wouldn't see people for a whole month, and I didn't really miss the people that much. But that was something that was a change for me. But I would think some of the harder ones, to be honest, was my identity, finding who I am, because my identity was so much in how I dressed and how I looked and what people thought of me. And if I dressed this way, people would respect me because you fit in. When you dress a certain way, people thought you were like, depending on your dress is kind of how people perceived you. And for that reason, many people were like so surprised that I left. And because I dressed because according to what people, kind of not how I exactly wanted to, but how was respectable. And all of a sudden I left that, and I'm finding who I am as a person, who I am as a daughter of God, the daughter of the King, and who I am as Irma, like who God made me to be. And so I think finding my identity, again, it was hard, and it's still a process. I think that's a process we're all learning, right? But finding who I am outside of just how you dress and stuff, like really who does God say I am? Who am I really? What do I believe? And then finding a community that I felt like I belonged to. That is something that took me a long while. I went to a church where I knew some of the people, but I never felt like I really belonged there. And I've been part of a church now for 5.5 years that I know I belong to. There's no question, no doubts, nothing. And I love it. Like, but even within that, I always feeling different, and not, that is something that I've struggled with, because, even when people leave the Amish, that is oftentimes where some people find their connection. Well, so-and-so left the Amish and you connect. In some ways I did, but my leaving was my own story. Why I left, how I left, and the connection that I still have with my family and my parents and all the people is I always still really sometimes feel challenged with feeling different. One of the things is like people not knowing about movies and shows. People talk about, did you see this show? Did you see this movie? And in that sense, I have no idea what they're talking about. I help with the kids ministry at church, and even kids come up with drawing. There was a few Sundays ago I was helping in the warehouse, and they were drawing. I was supposed to draw a picture, and the things that they drew, I was like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Like, it comes from movies or somewhere in the internet that I didn't learn. We would have drawn houses and animals and like real life stuff. So I have the freedom to watch shows and movies now. It is not something that I really enjoy that much. And that is something that with the brain thing that I deal with, that might be a video. If you have questions, feel free to ask about it. But with some of the things I deal with my brain tumor thing, my brain gets really tired watching movies and things like that, so I don't enjoy it because it really, my head gets tired and I just kind of takes everything out of it. And I enjoy hands-on life, like getting out into nature and just getting hands-on. And so that is something that has been a challenge, because I feel like I don't know a lot of the things that they talk about, because I haven't watched the shows. I didn't grow up with cartoons and movies and all of that. And then the other thing that I thought of a little more recently about what is so different is being intentional about moving my body. That is something that that I have to be very intentional about. So when I was Amish, we would get up in the morning. Most of the kind of years when I was at home and feeling well, I would go out and help with the barn chores. So I stood up at like 5:30, 5:45. I got up, went out to the barn, and in the coolness in the morning, got your system moving. I did a lot of walking with doing, milking and washing the stuff and cleaning the parlor and feeding the goats and all of that. And then you walk to the house, and even when you wanted to go away, it was going out to the barn, getting the horse ready. Like there was a lot of much more walking with it. Everywhere we went, we walked to places like half a mile down the road. We walked easily. If it was a mile or 2 miles, we would go with a horse and buggy or bike. I feel I still have that freedom. For where I live, there's not many places I can go within a half mile. I have walked to church and some things like that, but I think with the car you just go further more easily because you can. And so I feel in some of those ways I have to be more intentional about getting out and moving my body. It's not so much with the regular everyday stuff. I do house cleaning, so those days I do get some movement, but still not like we did at home. And when I think about it, I don't know of any Amish that go to a gym to work out. Like that wasn't a thing. People work hard and people go far with bikes and doing laundry. Well, it was in and out of, to hang out the laundry, come in, get another load, come in. You push the wash, we had a washer, but you still put it over to the rinse and then splashed it around and then put it out. Like there's just a lot more movement. Everything we do, we wash the dishes by hand. I still do that. And I think overall that is something that I have to be a lot more intentional about, is to move my body and to get my system, moving. I have to be more intentional about it because I can get up in the morning and make breakfast and, I don't have any barn chores, or when I go somewhere, I go out to the car in the garage and then leave. There's no going out and getting the horse and, brushing him and then going in and getting yourself ready. And then, there's just a lot less there's a lot less steps in the process. And so those are a few things. I think some of the internal, just like the identity and fitting in and all of that, is a lot to sort through, but it is beautiful because I can learn who God made me to be, and I don't have to fit in a box. So it is hard, but it is very, very beautiful, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I could go on and on about the things that are different, but those are some of the things that I thought of. If you have more questions, feel free to ask questions, and we will see you on the next one.